What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 6 of The Fade. Once again, I'm joined by my colleagues Stephen Laurie, Dylan Pupo, Cam Britt, and Ethan McLeod. We're going to give just a little recap of the playoffs. Let's start with the biggest one, I think. The Chargers blowing a 27-point lead.
I just think, dude, Trevor Lawrence is a beast, man. We picked the Jags before, dude, me, Cam, and Luke, and I don't want to say I knew it was going to happen because the Chargers are a very good team, but don't count Trevor Lawrence out, dude. He's been playing tremendously. People are talking about he's a top 5 quarterback now in his second year in the league. He's just been playing phenomenal, and I hope to see him win again this week, man. I'm all in on the Jags, and I'll always root for Doug Peterson, dude, because he brought us one of these last time. So we'll see what happens.
Stephen Laurie, always making it about the Philadelphia Eagles. But, all right, Justin Herbert, you let me down. Nah, he didn't let me down. But I said without Mike Williams, it's going to hurt him, and it did in the second half. I mean, you scored 27 in the first half. I mean, I know it was a lot of turnovers, so, I mean, they had good field position here and there. But the second half, they just couldn't move the ball, and when you're stalling out that long, eventually, a team like with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, they're going to eventually make their way back. And that's what happened. And, that's the NFL playoffs for you. And you never – the whole game for the Cowboys and the Bucs game, I mean, it's Tom Brady back there the whole time. It didn't matter if there's 2 minutes left. I'm still nervous they're coming back. So that's just the way it rolls. And, kudos to Trevor Lawrence.
He had a really good game, but going up against the Chiefs this week, he's going to have the game of his life, to be honest with you, to beat the Chiefs. But I wasn't surprised that Jacksonville won, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, yeah, Chargers had a 27-point lead, blew that. They're in the new Matt Ryan. What's next? So,
yeah, the one thing that really stood out to me was how the Chargers utilized Austin Eckler. I mean, he barely saw the ball in the second half. He got 5 rushes, and they're up by 20 points at halftime. I don't know how you only run the ball 5 times with a top 5 running back in the NFL. I just don't get it. But a good win for the Jaguars. Their offense looked great in the second half. Lawrence, he really stepped up, came back from those 4 early picks. But 4 picks against the Chiefs, that's not going to cut it. Definitely not. He's gonna have to throw for 350, 3 touchdowns if he wants a chance to win.
Yeah, he looked really flat in the beginning of the game. I thought there was no shot of a comeback, but like Dylan said, this is the NFL, and I guess you can't write a better script than that. So going off of it, Bills barely squeezing by Miami with a 3rd-string quarterback again. They won by 3. So your guys' take on Buffalo? I mean, Allen threw 352, 3 tutties, 2 picks. Diggs and Davis both had over 100. I mean, Skylar Thompson wasn't even supposed to take this team to losing by 3. I think they're 14-point favorites. But what's your guys' take on that?
I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, the Bills and the Dolphins game really shocked me, but I'm sure it shocked everybody. That was not the Bills team that played throughout the season. So they're going to come out this week and absolutely dominate Cincinnati. That's just my thoughts on that, but it's just not the team that typically plays.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I mean, Miami has been a solid team all year. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Tua, but obviously Tua is better than Skylar Thompson. But at the same time, I mean, they had a solid defense. So I thought if it was going to be close, it was going to be a low-scoring game, if anything. But it was the complete opposite. It was actually a pretty high-scoring game. I think he played pretty well. I think he put a couple balls right on the money for deep passes that weren't brought, they didn't catch.
Thompson.
Yeah, and I think he had I was at the end of that game, he had a couple real nice throws in my opinion, and they just weren't catching the ball. And I think couple catches away from winning that game. I think it was a lot closer than people even. I know it was the 3-point game, and people think that's close, but I think it was 1 or 2 plays away from them winning that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, what Thompson did, like for being a rookie in his first start in the playoffs against the Bills, Buffalo. I mean, he played pretty good. Like if you said he was the Dolphins starting quarterback for the whole year, I would have believed you. Like obviously, he looked good. Like Dylan said, I think the Dolphins started out. Waddle dropped a pass. I know Tyreek dropped a pass. Waddle dropped like 3 or 4 passes actually.
Yeah, he dropped multiple passes that game. They were on him the whole game.
Yeah, his throws were on point. The team just wasn't pulling together. But the Bills came out in the first quarter, and it looked like they were going to blow them out. They scored 2 quick touchdowns in the first, and then after that, they kind of just took their foot off the pedal. And but props to the Miami defense though, because they did play good in the middle of that game after giving up those 2 quick scores. But I think we've seen this from the Bills kind of often, where they don't really come out and show you that they're the best team in football, but they still find a way to get the win. So I think it'll be definitely a tougher matchup this week against Cincinnati. I guess we'll see how they come out, if they could keep their foot on the pedal for minutes.
Steve, you have anything to go off of with the Bills?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of holes with the Bills, honestly, man. I don't think they're the Super Bowl favorites like they were in the beginning of the season anymore. Like Ethan said, it's so much of a tougher matchup between the Bengals and them this week. I mean, Joe Burrow's a menace, man. He has 4,475 yards. Him and Josh Allen are actually tied with touchdowns with 35, but Josh Allen has, I think, 14 interceptions, and he's like 30th. So I think this matchup's going to come down to which quarterback plays better. And in my opinion, I think Joe Burrow has the weapons to do that, and I think he's going to do what he did last year. I don't think they're going to end up going to the Super Bowl, but I do think that Burrow's going to carry them to the championship, man, and they're going to beat the Bills this week.
Going into the San Fran Seattle, I didn't think that game was going to be as close as it was in the first half. I thought, wow, we're seeing Geno Smith and Seattle coming out and absolutely going to shock the world. And then the second half, Geno Smith just looked like the New York Jet Geno Smith that everyone remembered him by up until this season. So that I don't know. I mean, it was a good run for Seattle. Pete Carroll, good coaching this year. Geno Smith, very great play this year. There's some things that they have to work on. You know, second half coaching is going to be a big problem now. Your guys' take on the San Fran Seattle?
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much we all knew that San Fran was going to win that game. That was like the one definite game. But like I said last week, I thought Seattle had a chance to keep it close. It's a divisional game against a rival that they've already played twice. And I'm pretty sure it was Dylan said it last week. It's tough to beat a good team 3 times in a season. And you know, Seattle's they're a good team. Don't get me wrong, but San Fran, they're just a different monster.
Cam?
I just 100% agree with you. I mean, it was quite shocking to see that game be so close in the first half. I don't think anybody really expected that, especially with San Fran being as dominant as they are or have been. But they got to play better against Dallas. Dallas is much better than the Seahawks are. So I think that's going to be a much closer game.
I mean, yeah, I think Seattle hung on as long as they could. I think, you know, they're a good enough team to hang on, but for 4 quarters with San Fran, they're just not that good enough of a team. I think Geno has just trouble staying protected against San Fran's defense, and I think that's a big problem for him. But no, I mean, San Fran finished the game off, which is what great teams do, and we'll see how it goes next week.
I think, dude, that if the 49ers and Brock Purdy are going to beat Dallas, that they're going to have to play a lot better, man, than they did in that first half against Seattle because, like you guys said, it was such a close game. The 49ers are supposed to be this powerhouse team, but going back to, like, the Dallas matchup with them this week, dude, I just think it's going to be so crucial for Dallas if that offensive line can protect Dak. Because if he's comfortable and he gets in a rhythm, Dak can play really well. He showed that against Philly, you know what I mean? And the amount of pressures that the 49ers can put on Dak is going to be really interesting. So I guess we're going to see if this offensive line can either take a beating or if they're really going to stand up and see if they're really worth being in the championship. And on the defensive side, I think that honestly, man, it comes down to if you're going to play Micah Parsons on the edge or if you're going to have him protecting the pass, like against the McCaffreys and the Devos and the Kittles and stuff like that, because Micah Parsons only 240 pounds, and he's going up against the guys on the edge that are 280 to 300 pounds all the time. I was watching this interview, and there was like with some girl from Barstool, and he said that if he keeps playing on the edge like this, that he can see himself having to bump up like 15 pounds, getting up to 255, maybe even 260. So, in my opinion, I would probably have Micah defending the pass, given that they have so many weapons that, I mean, that offense is stacked, dude, and Purdy's playing at such a high level. But, yeah, man, if Purdy can just get passes off quick to them weapons, if Micah's on the edge and they're stopping that, then the 49ers can be very successful. But we'll see what happens.
Going off of the final game of the wild card round, the Cowboys dominating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for basically 3.5 quarters. You know, Dylan, what's going on with Brett Maher, man?
Kicking is a mental game, and I think once he missed I think the first one was jitters. And I mean, you've seen that with both teams, offense and defensively. Both teams came out with a little bit of the jitters the first drive or two. You've seen bad throws from Dak and from Brady until the game settled in. Obviously, the kicker doesn't get to be in there until his first kick. So I think the first one was the jitters. I think the second one, he just whiffed. And then after that, it was mental. I mean, yeah. It might have been mental after the second one as well. I mean, it might have been
the third one went left, wide left. I think he tried going right to left then. And just pulled it.
At that point, he's just thinking too much. But I really like what Dak said at post game, where he said, you know, I'm Money Maher's biggest fan, and he goes, I played like shit a week ago, and you know, look how this game went. He goes, I have no doubt that Maher will be back next week going perfect. And I think that's the best thing you could say as the leader is just giving him that confidence back that hey, everyone has a bad game here and there. Keep your confidence. You've been great all year. Just get back on track, and we'll be good next week.
Yeah, I seen CD on the sideline. He like tapped him on the shoulder, brought him in, and was like, "Hey, you bailed us out multiple times this season, so we're all behind you." So that's just a veteran move right there to keep your kicker's confidence, and that just shows that it's not just one guy of the team. Like you would think, oh, hey, the kicker, hey, you're riding on the back of the team plane or the back of the bus wherever we go, you know, like. You ain't hanging out with the offense and defense. But, you know, it shows you that there's love, that this is a team sport, and that was a very veteran move by CeeDee Lamb.
Well, I mean, as a team, I would expect them to try to keep their kicker's confidence. I mean, he should know that he's getting cut after the season. Once the Cowboys lose this week, he's done. Brett Maher's done. No one's signing him.
I agree with Ethan.
Well, it's just another Blair Walsh. Couple missed field goals in big time situations.
How do you miss 4 field goals from 30 yards? Like I can make at least 1 out of 4.
It's pathetic, dude. You're an NFL kicker. It's pathetic.
I get it, but like I like what the Cowboys are doing. You don't just cut them. This is the playoffs, dude. Like who are you going to go find? What kicker are you going to go find in free agency right now that's going to do anything? None.
You don't cut them until the playoffs are over.
Okay, but if the Cowboys win this week, and even if they lose this weekend, it's not because of Maher. Maher kicks 4 extra points